Alrighty, so I think we got pretty much everybody. If more people trickle in, um, that'll be fine as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started here on this month's CyberSmart Briefs. This month's topic is home network security. If you didn't know, October is Cybersecurity Month. So we wanted to do, a topic that hit more close to home with everybody. So that is the one that we'll be reviewing today. This might look a little bit different from the people that have been attending these in the past. Normally, Joe from our organization is the one that's leading this. He's actually out, so usually I'm behind the scenes with TJ, but this month I will be the one leading it. So it'll be myself, Kyle Harris, and then TJ again will be again behind the scenes doing the Q&A. So you'll see that coming up here shortly. Obviously, if you haven't attended in the past, what is the CyberSmart Briefs? It's a monthly short-term content webinar that we've been doing each month. And basically what we've been doing is like a 5-minute presentation. This month, again, since it's Cyber Security Month, we're going to do a little bit longer of a presentation. And just like all the ones previously, these are recorded, so we'll be uploading them to our YouTube channel. So if you want to show them to somebody else after this, they'll be published there. And again, if you guys didn't know the reason for doing what we do, Aberdeen exists to guide and protect our clients as they pursue their vision. This is just one of those ways that we help do that. So as I mentioned, TJ will be in the chat. So if you look up at the top of your ribbon inside of the meeting, you'll see the Q&A. That's where we'd like to have all the questions asked. The other thing too is, we're always looking for new ideas and topics to discuss. So if you have any of those, let us know about those up there as well throughout the presentation. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. So the importance of home security and why it matters. The threats that business face, both large and small, rarely distinguish between someone at their home or at work. All targets are fair game. According to the Identity Theft Research Center annual data breach report, 422 million individuals were impacted by data breaches in 2022. The FBI estimated individuals lost over 10.2 billion in their 2022 Internet Crime Report. The VPN service Surfshark stated that for every 100 accounts, 73 unique email addresses have been breached at some point. Tracking website haveibeenpwned.com, which is something that we use often and recommend people check out, reports that details of over 12.5 billion compromised accounts to date. So that information is available. Common threats. So threat actors don't discriminate. The threats we help our customers fight against in their business environments are the very same as we all face in our personal lives. Targeted phishing attacks, called spear phishing, or more generic phishing attacks occur every day. We use the same internet at home as we do at work, complete with infected internet ads and pop-ups, malicious websites, and malware emails. Network intrusions and data breaches of all sizes and scale occur every month and show no signs of slowing down. Everyday services used by millions are the holy grail for malicious individuals and organizers. The key differences in that businesses usually have the financial resources, processes, and personnel to deal with these issues, while home users rarely have the ability or desire to spend thousands of dollars on enterprise-grade security. Prevention. So the threats are the same, like I mentioned before. And one of the big things that can help against that is, strong passwords. So complex passwords or passphrases are key. Multi-factor authentication should be considered mandatory. We'll get into that a little bit later. Always keep your operating system and software as current as possible. Most software will do this automatically if you let it. Maintain a reliable antivirus, anti-malware environment, or any devices that interactively connect to internet content. Use secure browsing tools to limit your exposure when conducting sensitive operations. Maintain secure automated backups of your critical information. Actively consider your device security and privacy outside of the home. And then consider adding cyber liability insurance to your home coverage. We'll get more into each of these topics as we continue. So password management. So some of the things that we notice that people do a lot is reuse passwords. We're always going to recommend that not only do you not reuse passwords, but each application or website really should have their own unique password. And with that said, they shouldn't just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You should have some good length to it. So, at least 10 characters is really what we want to see, along with some obviously symbols, maybe some numbers mixed into there as well. It just makes it a lot harder for somebody to compromise an account or a bot, if the length is longer. But then also, really the big thing that we're pushing now is more about passphrases and not really passwords. So if you think about, something as simple as like, I like chocolate ice cream 2023 with like a star symbol or something like that, or maybe the street that you grew up on. I grew up on such and such street, something like that, or just something where I mean, a lot of those things are actually questions that are asked for security things, but something along those lines that's more of a phrase rather than just a small short password. And then obviously password management tools are features that help out with this. A lot of the products have a family version or like an at-home version associated with the business class versions. They are very helpful. They don't offer all the same features as maybe the business class, but a lot of the ones that you would want to have at home are their, password generating tools, obviously saving it in a encrypted location. All those big things are still incorporated even with the home version of those password management tools. So we talked about it before, MFA or 2FA, so that's multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. We want to see this, everywhere. not just from, a business standpoint with what we do, but really it is a huge tool to help prevent accounts from being compromised, having that additional layer on top. This is something that we've been preaching for many years now. Anywhere that has the capability of utilizing it, we're going to recommend utilizing it. So, whether it's your email, an application, or a website, we'll want to have you set that up. So, it's always recommended to not use, email that doesn't have that. Email continues to be the number one vector to compromise not only yourself personally, but also a business organization. So the last link there is twofactor.org. That is a website that lets you know um, websites that actually offer two-factor or multi-factor authentication. So it's a nice thing to look at that and see if maybe a website or application that you're utilizing, might offer that and how to set that up. Network security. So your home network firewall or router is a common entry point for automated and targeted attacks. Many people use only the devices provided by their internet service provider, which are deployed in large batches to thousands of customers based on cost and not features or security. Always use an updated wireless network password for your home network. Treat this just as any other password. It should be complex, at least 12 characters. This is an ideal place to use an easy to remember passphrase. If possible, change the wireless network setting, or excuse me, name provided by your router. So a lot of the times there'll be like a default one. That's the one that we'll want to remove um, from that, so you have a unique one. Always update any administrative passwords for your network equipment or appliances or devices just in general. The default credentials for everything are well documented on the internet and available for anyone. So that's one of the reasons why the above statement where I was talking about, changing the name, because if you're broadcasting, let's say on your wireless, like a Netgear or something like that, there are default passwords that are available online that people can just try and run through to gain access. If possible, change or disable the default admin accounts and create your own. An attacker would find it almost impossible to guess both your account name and password if it is not on the list of defaults for that device. Always use the best network protocols possible for your network. Not all your devices may support the newer WPA3 protocol yet, but always use WPA2 at a minimum. And that's something that, again, you can set with those devices. Limited features and automatic scanning, protection, and automatic remediation is some of the things that you're looking at for antivirus and anti-malware. Home or family plans that can protect multiple devices under that same account. So those are things that you want to evaluate when looking at those. And then obviously you need to protect your computer with a password. However, there are some additional steps you can take to protect your computer. Creating individual accounts for any user in the home, lock the computer when stepping away. I mean, a lot of these things are basic, but it's more about, training yourself, to do that and just making sure that, you create less and less chance for those things to happen. And obviously, the last one, do not allow unauthorized users onto company-owned devices. This is one that we've seen where people might allow maybe a child of theirs to hop on their work device. It's one of those things where that is dedicated for business use, and you wouldn't want obviously something to happen with them and interacting with that. Software updates. So, obviously, each operating system has their own intervals of, um, when they update their operating system. The big thing here is, the big players are, Windows, Apple, obviously mobile platforms as well, but specifically we're talking about Windows and Apple here. But, Windows 10 and Windows 11 are still current versions of the operating system. Monterey, Ventura, and Sonoma for Apple. Those are things that you want to make sure that uh, they are being updated, making sure that they're current. Like I said, the supported ones for Windows, Windows 10 is still being supported all the way out until October 2025, even though Windows 11 is out. Again, they're still supporting that. In the Mac OSs usually have a 3-year support period. So the ones that I listed off again are still under support. Enabling auto updates is an easy way to make sure that you're getting all the current updates. It's something again that's simple, runs in the background, and gives you the best experience as far as some of those critical and security patches. Suspicious web browsing. So, some of the things that you'll see are obviously the the different pop-ups and other things like that. If you're going to maybe it's kind of a sketchier website, that one that you don't normally go to. Those are some of the things that you'll associate with them. And one of the big things that you'll notice with those is that they won't have, HTTPS, at the top. And that is a secure protocol, basically letting you know that this website is secure. A lot of those, bad websites will not have that enabled. So those are some things that, and probably the ones that I'm talking about just based on experience. Those examples, those ones that are popping into your head are really the ones that I'm talking about. But again, pay attention to warnings that you see on the page. A lot of the times, if you're going out and searching for specific topics, and you click on a link, the web browser might warn you prior to advancing. Those are things that you want to take under consideration. Um, One of the other things though too is, I talked about, password managers, and some of the browsers obviously offer some of the built-in ones. The issue with that is, if your browser gets, compromised, that data is also inside of that browser. So it's one of those things where, they have gotten better, but having a separate password manager, like I mentioned before, is still going to be, best practice for that. And then the last thing, private browsing. So whether it's depending on the web browser that you're using, like Chrome, it's called incognito. If you're using maybe Firefox or one of the other ones as well, Safari, a lot of them call that in private. But basically what it does is it'll disable cookies, and then it doesn't save data. So those are things that are tools as well. Computer backup. So this is one that you might not be doing, or if you are, you might be doing it not as much as you should. But there's some things that we'll mention here. So if you can, set up more of an automated process. So with most of the newer operating systems, this is something that you can basically automate. There's a time interval, that you could say like, hey, every 30 days or whatever interval that you want to back up your system. The key here is, making sure that it's automated and done, without you knowing, having the media there for it to back up to is obviously crucial as well if you're doing a local backup. So whether it's like a USB drive, an external hard drive, or a network attached storage, making sure that those are connected for it to actually back up to is important. One of the things too, going even more from a security standpoint, though, too, the USB and external drive, if you rotate those, you could put that maybe into a safe, or remove it off site from your home and have it in a different secure area. Those are things that you can do as well to enhance that. The network storage device, usually that's something that's going to be on your network at home. So that's not something that you usually remove or have the ability, but it's definitely a good place to take those backups and store it on a bigger hard drive. Most of the time they have redundant drives as well. That'll give you some extra space and have the ability to have more retention of those backups. Excuse me. Cloud backups. So a lot of you probably already use, one of these products, but whether it's iCloud, Google Drive, or Microsoft OneDrive, those are great areas to back up, some of the stuff that might be on like your desktop, your pictures, documents, things like that. Getting it off of that device and having it someplace else is always good. And, obviously from a business standpoint or personal, like if that device gets lost, stolen, or broken, at least you have some of that content someplace else to where if you get a new device, you'll be able to pull that down. So those are the things, whether you're doing it locally or you're using a cloud backup. I mean, honestly, you should probably do a mix of those just so you have, more layers to the backup approach. But again, these are some of the solutions that you have access to. Mobile devices. So, obviously, whether it's a phone, a tablet, something like that, there's obviously security associated with those pieces as well. So, a lot of them, if you have an iPhone, you have like the Face ID. A lot of Androids still use the biometric, as far as like the fingerprint scanning, or, more of a traditional one is like a PIN. So like every time you open your device, you either have to have the Face ID, you use your thumb, or, you're typing in a PIN. So those are all good things to at least have set up. Again, if it gets lost or stolen, somebody can't just hop right into that. Saving passwords and card info in browsers. So I kind of mentioned that before. It's always good to have those things separate of your browser. But when we're talking about card information, there's systems set up, like Apple Pay or Google Pay, things like that, to where that stuff is kind of protected with that, and you're not storing that stuff online, or even more traditional like a Venmo, PayPal. There is a layer between those websites and just storing that stuff on there, or you can just always just manually type it in. That's obviously an option as well, but just having some separation there is always good. So as I mentioned a little bit before, the password management applications do have the ability to incorporate mobile access as well. So basically it would be that app off to the side. So if you ever get prompted for or for any credentials, you're able to open up, that application, pull that information, and access, whatever you need to. But again, that's being stored separate of the obviously the application or website that you're going to. And then also, like I mentioned before, antivirus and anti-malware, there are mobile versions of that. So those are things that can be added to mobile devices to have that extra layer of security. And then similar to backing up your computer, there's obviously backups incorporated to most mobile devices now, whether it's iCloud or Google Drive. Those are things that traditionally come with it. Depending on the amount of data that you have on there, there might be a subscription that you might have to pay additional for, but most of the time there is at least a beginning amount that you'd be able to take advantage of backing those devices up. So this is some more pieces here as far as more physical things. So webcam, um, everybody has probably seen it on laptops where people have like the little sticky note over it or sticker or something like that. Or even now they're starting to incorporate even a little manual shutter to go over them on at least laptops. I think even some of the ones for like desktops that are like mounted to the top of the monitors as well, have that stuff incorporated into it. But you know, if you want to take it one step further, you can always disconnect them as well. So a lot of them also have mics incorporated to them. So not only would you be disconnecting the video, but also the mic aspect as well, which leads into the next thing about some of these smart home devices for like home automation and other things like that. So like your Amazon Alexa, Google Home, Apple Home, some of those things you probably have heard of some of the stories about somebody talking about, you know, dog food, and they were doing this in front of their, I believe it was like an Amazon Alexa, and then all of a sudden, they get an order of like 100 pounds worth of dog food in the next few days just because they were, talking about it around it. So that's kind of a funny story, but obviously, those devices are listening pretty much all the time. You do have the capability to go in and manually, deactivate those microphones, but that's something that most people don't do. It's one of those things where if you're not utilizing it and it's just kind of in the background and you kind of just left it plugged in, it might be, again, just like with the webcam. If you're not utilizing it, you might as well unplug it. And then the last thing, home automation devices, it's not the worst idea to have them on their separate network, obviously away from the rest of the devices that you're utilizing on the day to day. Again, that's just more of a security approach to separate those, and that way there's no like crosstalk or communication between those. Social media. So obviously we've been dealing with social media for a fair amount now. Best practices with that is, you know, don't share a lot of information that can easily identify you, right? So, phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, things like that. If it's not necessary to share, don't do it. That a lot of that stuff is forever. You can go back years on posts and people can harvest, that information. So keep oversharing and things like that to a minimal when it comes to, the social media platforms. Um, One of the things that you've probably seen if you've been on any of those platforms is you get the random friend request, or somebody might direct message you. Um, if you don't know who they are, it's best not to interact. So if you get, one of those random friend requests, you don't know who they are, it's best to just go ahead and delete that. Same with some of those direct messages. Um, that also goes into some of the security settings that you actually have set up on those. Um, that'd be one place to take a look to see if you can lock that down if you are getting a lot of those requests or direct messages. There are settings that you can enable to where only certain people will be able to do that. So that's definitely something to take a look at to make sure that you do have the proper settings in place. So cyber insurance, this is something that's becoming more and more popular, obviously on the business side, but then also on the home side as well. So we'll talk about, some of the items here below in the coverage range. So the first one is cyber attack coverage. So this pays for the removal of a virus or reprogramming of desktops, laptops, smartphones, tablets, Wi-Fi routers, and other internet access points such as smart home devices and security systems. One of the things that you probably didn't think you really needed was cyberbullying coverage. This helps you deal with online harassment that results in wrongful termination, discipline from school, temporary relocation expenses, temporary private tutoring, lost wages and legal expenses, cyber extortion coverage. This is something that helps you recover from ransomware attacks that block you from accessing your personal data, demanding a fee to regain control. This coverage might include assistance from experts who can help you regain your files and a reimbursement for any ransom paid if approved by your insurance company. Data breach coverage helps you pay for services if personal data entrusted to you is lost, stolen, or published. For example, if you sell tickets for a school fundraiser and have a credit card information from a buyer's on your tablet and the tablet is stolen, this coverage would pay for the services to the individuals who are affected by the data breach. The last one, online fraud coverage. This would pay for the direct financial losses due to problems like identity theft, unauthorized banking or credit card transfers, um, phishing schemes, and other types of fraud. So again, this is something that's can be sold as an add-on to your homeowner insurance, but this is something that, for the past few years, we've been seeing more and more from on the business side, but it's definitely creeping more into the consumer slash home side as well. All right, so the next couple of slides have a QR code associated with them. So if you want, you can go ahead and scan this. But I believe TJ will be publishing the links inside the Q&A as well. But this one is from the NSA. It's talking about cybersecurity information. Just, you know, obviously we've covered a good amount today, but there's going to be more information on that there. So that's a good link to check out. So I'll give you a few seconds here to scan that. If you have a QR reader on your mobile device, it should be able to do that.
They're
The
posted in
next,
chat now, Kyle. You can move on.
okay. The same with the CISO one, that'll be inside of there, and then along with the Forbes one as well. So appreciate that, TJ, for getting those posted in there. With that said, we are coming up to the end.